Tyler tried to flee to Mexico with a fake passport. The FBI caught him at the airport. And now, at 1 a.m., I'm back at my house with an attorney, a locksmith, a real estate agent, and a moving crew. We have 5 hours before sunrise. 5 hours to erase 30 years of my life and disappear before my son gets out of federal custody. If you haven't watched the first part of this story, go back now. You need the full story. And if you're already here, hit that subscribe button, because what happens in the next few hours will change everything. My house looked like a crime scene, but in reverse. Instead of investigators documenting evidence, we were erasing it, removing every trace of me, every sign that Victoria Brennan had ever lived here. Rebecca stood in my living room like a general commanding troops, coordinating everything with her phone in one hand and a legal pad in the other. The locksmith was already at work on my front door. I could hear the drill, the scrape of metal, the sound of my old locks being destroyed. "How long?" Rebecca called out to him. 20 minutes for the front, another 10 for the back. You want deadbolts on everything?" "Everything," she confirmed. "And change the garage door code too." A woman I'd never met before was measuring my living room. Patricia, the real estate agent Rebecca had called. She walked through my house with the detached efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times, taking photos, making notes, completely unaware that every room she photographed held memories that were now being boxed up and destroyed. And me? I stood in the middle of my bedroom, staring at my closet, trying to figure out how to pack 30 years of life into 2 suitcases. Only essentials, Rebecca had told me at her office. Clothes, documents, photos you can't replace. Everything else stays. The house sells furnished. It's faster that way. So I packed. My hands moved mechanically, pulling clothes off hangers. Jeans, scrubs, a few sweaters. My winter coat, even though I had no idea where I was going. Would I need a winter coat? Would I end up somewhere warm? Somewhere far away where Tyler could never find me? I opened my jewelry box, not that I had much. My wedding ring from David. A simple gold necklace he'd given me on our 10th anniversary. A pair of pearl earrings that had belonged to my mother. I put them all in a small velvet bag and tucked them into my suitcase. Then I saw it, in the back of the jewelry box, a plastic bracelet with chunky beads spelling out "Best Mom." Tyler had made it for me in 1st grade. I'd kept it for 26 years. My hands shook as I held it. Best Mom. That's what I'd tried to be. That's what had led me here, to this moment, packing my life into bags at 2 a.m. while my son sat in FBI custody. I threw the bracelet in the trash. Rebecca appeared in my doorway. "Victoria? The real estate agent needs you to sign some papers." Patricia had spread documents across my kitchen table. The same table where Tyler had eaten breakfast before school. Where David and I had shared coffee every morning. Where I'd sat alone after my husband died and promised myself I'd be strong for our son. "This is a straightforward cash sale," Patricia explained, her voice professionally neutral. "The buyer is an investment company that specializes in rental properties. They're offering $290,000, which I'll be honest, is about $40,000 below market value. But they're waiving inspection, waiving contingencies, and closing in 48 hours. 48 hours. 2 days from now, this house wouldn't be mine anymore. The money will be wired directly to your new account," Rebecca added. "Tyler won't be able to touch it, trace it, or claim any right to it." I picked up the pen. My hand hovered over the signature line. "Victoria," Patricia said gently, "I don't know your situation, and I'm not asking. But I need to know, are you sure about this? Once you sign, there's no going back." I thought about Tyler's text message from earlier. "I love you. Always." I thought about the fake passport, the forged signatures, the $485,000 in debt, the 5 years of lies. I signed my name. Rebecca pulled out her laptop and logged into my new bank account, an account at a bank called Clearwater Financial that I'd never heard of until 3 hours ago. An account that Tyler didn't know existed. "Okay," she said, typing rapidly. "I'm transferring everything from your old accounts. Checking, savings, that CD that matures next month, all of it goes to Clearwater. Total amount, $47,000. $47,000. That's what I had left after a lifetime of work. After 30 years of nursing shifts and sacrifices. Tyler had cost me everything else. "What about my retirement account?" I asked. Rebecca's expression was grim. We can't touch that yet without penalties. But we're going to freeze it, put restrictions on it, so Tyler can't access it, even if he tries to forge your signature again. Same with your social security information. We're locking down everything. She handed me a new phone, a cheap prepaid flip phone that looked like something from 2005. This is your new number. Only I have it. Don't give it to anyone, not friends, not distant relatives, no one. If Tyler can't find you, he can't manipulate you. I took the phone. It felt like holding evidence of my own erasure. While Rebecca coordinated with the moving crew, 3 men who were loading boxes I'd never see again into a truck bound for a storage unit, I sat at my kitchen table one last time. I pulled out a piece of paper and started writing. Not to Tyler, to myself. Things I sacrificed for Tyler that I will never get back. The list came easily, too easily. Worked through pneumonia because Tyler needed textbook money. Skipped my sister's wedding because Tyler had a business emergency. Drove a car with no heat for 3 winters because Tyler needed an apartment deposit. Never dated after David died because Tyler said it would be weird. Gave up my dream of traveling to Ireland because Tyler needed startup capital. Missed my best friend's funeral because Tyler had totaled his car and needed me to come get him. The list went on and on. 2 pages. 3. Warning signs I ignored. He never paid me back, not once. He got angry when I asked questions about money. He only called when he needed something. He never asked how I was doing. He made me feel guilty for having boundaries. He told me that if I really loved him, I'd help without question. I stared at what I'd written. This wasn't a letter. It was a confession. A confession of my own enabling, my own desperate need to be needed, my own fear of losing the only family I had left. Rebecca came back into the kitchen, her phone pressed to her ear. Yes, Agent Morrison, she understands. 72 hours. We'll make sure she's somewhere safe before then. She hung up and looked at me. The FBI is releasing Tyler on bail in about 6 hours. They're charging him with identity theft, wire fraud, and securities fraud. The arraignment is in 3 days. Will he go to prison? My voice sounded hollow. Probably. He defrauded multiple people, not just you. Marcus lost $150,000. There are at least 4 other victims the FBI knows about. If he's convicted on all counts, he's looking at 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years. My son, in prison. The baby I'd rocked to sleep, the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard, the teenager who'd cried on my shoulder when his first girlfriend broke his heart, in prison. I waited for the grief to hit me. For the motherly instinct to kick in, to make me want to save him one more time. It didn't come. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. We need to leave him a message, Rebecca said. Something on the door for when he comes looking for you. Make it clear, make it final, and make it impossible for him to claim he didn't know where you stood. She handed me her laptop. Write it. Say what you need to say. I typed, Tyler, the locks have been changed. I'm gone. The house is sold. For 30 years, I gave you everything. I worked myself to exhaustion. I sacrificed my health, my dreams, my future. I did it because I loved you and because I believed you needed me. But you didn't need me. You used me. I found the forged signatures. All of them. The $485,000 in debt you created in my name. The credit cards, the loans, the business you listed me as co-owner of without my knowledge or consent. I know about the fake passport. I know you tried to flee to Mexico. I know the FBI has you in custody right now. And I know that text message you sent me last night, I love you always, was just another manipulation. Another lie in a long line of lies. I gave you everything, Tyler. But you taught me something. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes love means letting someone face the consequences of their choices. The money from this house is mine. You will never see it. My new bank account is somewhere you'll never find it. My new phone number doesn't exist in any database you can access. I've disappeared, not because I don't love you, but because I finally love myself more. The FBI has everything they need. I've given them every document, every forged signature, every piece of evidence that proves what you've done, not just to me, but to all your victims. Don't try to find me. Don't try to contact me. I've blocked you everywhere. If you ever become the man I tried to raise you to be, the man who takes responsibility, who feels remorse, who understands that actions have consequences, then maybe someday you'll understand why I had to do this. But that's not today. And maybe it will never be. You didn't just steal my money, Tyler. You stole my trust, my security, my future. You forged my signature and my life along with it. I'm taking it back. Goodbye, Mom. I read it over. Then I read it again. And then I hit print. The locksmith finished his work. 3 new locks on the front door. 2 on the back. New garage door code. He handed me the only set of keys. Nobody's getting in here without breaking a window, he said with satisfaction. Rebecca took the printed letter and taped it to the front door, right at eye level where Tyler couldn't possibly miss it. The real estate agent left with her signed paperwork, promising the sale would close by Monday morning. The moving crew finished loading the truck. Everything I wasn't taking with me, furniture, dishes, books, 30 years of accumulated life, was going into storage. Rebecca had arranged it all under a fake name. Tyler would never be able to track it down. My car was packed, 2 suitcases, 1 box of photos, my important documents in a fireproof bag. That was it. That was everything I was taking from 30 years in this house. Rebecca stood next to me in the driveway as the sky started to lighten, just barely, that pre-dawn gray that meant sunrise was coming. "Where will you go?" she asked. "I don't know yet. Somewhere he can't find me. Somewhere I can start over. You have my number. Call me when you're settled. And Victoria?" She squeezed my hand. "You're doing the right thing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you are." That's when my old phone rang. We both froze. It was sitting on the hood of my car. I'd been about to throw it away, get rid of it completely. But it rang. An unknown number. At 2:47 a.m. Rebecca grabbed it before I could. "Don't answer. Let it go to voicemail." We waited. The phone stopped ringing. Then a moment later, the voicemail notification pinged. Rebecca's eyes met mine. "Do you want to hear it?" Part of me didn't. Part of me wanted to throw that phone in the trash and drive away without ever knowing what Tyler had to say. But I nodded. Rebecca put it on speaker. Tyler's voice filled the quiet morning air, slurred, drunk, broken. "Mom? Mom, I know you're probably asleep, but I need to tell you something. They let me make a phone call and God, I'm so drunk. I'm so tired, Mom, so tired of lying." There was a long pause. Background noise. Was he outside? In a bar? There was never a business. You know that, right? Tyler Brennan Innovations? It was fake. All fake. I registered the company, but I never actually did anything. I just used investor money. I'd get money from one investor, use it to pay off the last investor, and keep the rest for myself. It's called a Ponzi scheme. Did you know that? I learned about it in business school. Ironic, right? He laughed, a horrible, wet sound. "It's been 5 years, Mom. 5 years of lying. To you, to everyone. Those pictures on my Instagram? That yacht? I rented it for an hour just to take photos. The sports car? Leased. I could barely afford the payments. Everything was about looking successful so more people would invest. And it worked. It worked so well." Another pause. The sound of Tyler crying. But then people started asking questions. They wanted to see the business, see the product, see some kind of return on their investment, and there was nothing to show them. Nothing. Just debt and lies and more debt. That's why I needed the $300,000, not to save the business. There was no business to save. I needed it to run. The FBI is coming for me, Mom. They told me that today. They said I have 72 hours before they arrest me. 72 hours. His voice rose, panicked and desperate. I got a passport, a fake one. Cost me $15,000. $15,000 I didn't have, but what choice did I have? I was going to Mexico. Then maybe further, South America, somewhere they couldn't extradite me. But I needed money to survive down there. I needed your money. The truth of it hit me like a physical blow. The loving text message, the apology, the promise to figure things out together. All of it was just to keep me calm while he prepared to flee with my money. Tyler's voice changed. The self-pity disappeared, replaced by something cold and cruel. But then TSA caught me. They found the passport. They called the FBI, and now I'm sitting here in this holding cell, and all I can think about is how this is your fault. My fault? If you'd just given me the money when I asked, if you'd been a real mother and supported me, I'd be on a beach in Mexico right now. But no. You had to think about it. You had to ask questions. You had to make everything difficult. Rebecca's hand gripped my arm, steadying me. "So here's what's gonna happen, Mom. If you don't help me, if you don't give me that money, if you don't pay for the best lawyer you can find, I will burn everything down. I'll tell the FBI you knew about everything. I'll say you helped me set up the fake business. I'll forge more documents with your signature and make sure you go down with me. The voicemail timer showed 1 minute remaining. I'll make sure everyone knows what a terrible mother you were. How you neglected me, how you forced me into this corner. I'll ruin your reputation at that hospital where you worked. I'll contact every person you know and tell them you're a criminal. His voice dropped to a vicious whisper. If you don't help me, I'll make sure you regret this for the rest of your life. You'll lose everything, your house, your reputation, your freedom. We'll both go to prison, Mom. Both of us. Is that what you want? The voicemail ended. Rebecca and I stood in silence, the phone still on speaker, the empty recording line humming between us. Then Rebecca smiled. He just confessed to everything. On a recorded line, she grabbed the phone. This is evidence, Victoria. This is him admitting there was no business, admitting to running a Ponzi scheme, admitting to getting a fake passport and threatening you. Do you know what this means? I shook my head, still reeling from Tyler's words. It means the FBI's case just got airtight. It means when his lawyer tries to claim he made mistakes but had good intentions, we have a recording of him admitting it was fraud from the beginning. And it means when he tries to manipulate you again, because he will try, we have proof of his threats. She was already forwarding the voicemail to her email, to the FBI agent, creating backups. Agent Morrison needs to hear this immediately, she said, dialing her phone. While Rebecca talked to the FBI agent, I walked to my front door one more time. The letter I'd written was taped there, waiting for Tyler to find it. But now, I knew the truth. When Tyler got out on bail and came to my house looking for money, he wouldn't be coming to make amends or have a conversation. He'd be coming to threaten me, to manipulate me, to force me to fund his escape or go to prison myself. And if I'd still been here? If I hadn't met with Rebecca, if I hadn't discovered the truth, if I'd just been sitting in my living room when Tyler showed up, I would have given him the money. Out of fear, out of love, out of that desperate maternal instinct to protect my child at any cost. I would have helped him flee, would have made myself an accessory to his crimes, would have destroyed what was left of my life to save someone who didn't care if I went to prison along with him. The sun was starting to rise now, painting the sky pink and gold. A new day, a new beginning, or an ending, depending on how you looked at it. Rebecca finished her call. Agent Morrison is getting an emergency warrant. They're going to rearrest Tyler based on this voicemail. The threats against you, the admission of intent to flee, it's enough to revoke his bail. So he won't be coming here tomorrow morning. He won't be coming here at all. He's going to be in federal custody until trial. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt numb. Rebecca seemed to sense it. Victoria, get in your car. Drive. Don't tell me where you're going. The less I know, the better. Just go. Start over. Live the life you deserve. I nodded and opened my car door. Everything I had left in the world was in this vehicle. Everything that mattered, anyway. Rebecca, I said, thank you for everything. For believing me, for helping me, for... Don't thank me yet, she interrupted. Thank me when you're safe, when you're settled, when you've built a new life that Tyler can't touch. I got in the car and started the engine. In my rearview mirror, I could see my house, the house I'd raised Tyler in, the house I'd loved my husband in, the house that held 3 decades of my life. And taped to the front door, visible even from here, was my letter. My goodbye. I was about to pull out of the driveway when Rebecca knocked on my window. I rolled it down. One more thing, she said, her expression strange. Agent Morrison just sent me something. Tyler's arrest record from tonight. Okay? Victoria, when they arrested Tyler at the airport, he had $63,000 in cash in his carry-on bag. My blood ran cold. Where did he get $63,000? Rebecca's eyes were dark. That's what the FBI is trying to figure out, because according to your bank statements, he didn't steal it from you, which means he got it from somewhere else, or someone else. Another victim? Maybe, or... She paused. Victoria, did Tyler have access to anyone else's finances? Anyone else who might have trusted him? My mind raced, then stopped on a horrible thought. His girlfriend, I whispered. He mentioned a girlfriend a few months ago, Amanda something, said she worked in tech, made good money. Rebecca's expression turned grim. I need to make some calls, but Victoria, you need to leave. Now, because if Tyler stole from his girlfriend too, and she's still out there thinking he loves her, he'll go to her next. He'll go to her next. And if she knows where you are, if Tyler can manipulate her into telling him. She didn't need to finish. I understood. Rebecca made a decision in that moment. She called Agent Morrison and told him everything about Amanda, about the text, about the money Tyler had stolen from her. The FBI intercepted Amanda 2 blocks from my house. I found out later what happened. Amanda had $80,000 in cash in her car, her entire life savings. She'd withdrawn it that morning, believing Tyler's story about his evil mother, who was trying to ruin his business out of spite. He'd told her I was jealous of his success, that I'd always resented him, that I was working with his competitors to destroy him. She believed every word. When the FBI pulled her over and explained that Tyler was under investigation for fraud, that he'd stolen from his own mother, that the passport he'd been caught with was fake, she collapsed. Just broke down completely. Agent Morrison told Rebecca that Amanda kept saying, "But he loves me. He proposed. We were going to start a life together." Tyler had shown her a ring, told her they'd get married in Mexico, a destination wedding, romantic and perfect. All she needed to do was bring money for the wedding venue and their new life together. There was no ring. There was no wedding. There was just Tyler, running another con, and Amanda was supposed to be his escape fund. But the FBI stopped her, saved her, and her $80,000. I thought about her as I drove through the early morning darkness. Another woman whose life Tyler had almost destroyed. How many more were there? How many people had trusted him, loved him, believed in him, only to discover they were just marks in his endless scheme? I drove for 3 hours that night. Just drove, with no destination, watching the sunrise paint the sky in colors I'd been too exhausted to notice for years. Pink, orange, gold, beautiful. I ended up at a small motel off the highway, the kind of place that doesn't ask questions and takes cash. I checked in under a fake name Rebecca had suggested, paid for a week, and collapsed on the bed. For the first time in 30 years, I had no responsibilities, no shift to work, no son to bail out, no crisis to manage, just silence. I slept for 14 hours straight, and when I woke up, my prepaid phone had 3 messages from Rebecca. Message 1, Amanda's safe, FBI has her, she's cooperating. Message 2, Tyler's bail was revoked, he's back in custody. Message 3, it's happening today, he's going to your house this morning. Thought you'd want to know. I looked at the clock, 7:47 a.m. Tyler would be at my house in 13 minutes. I couldn't see it, but Rebecca told me everything later. She'd parked down the street, watching, documenting. She wanted to make sure Tyler didn't damage the property. Remember, I'd sold it, and the new owners were taking possession in 48 hours. At exactly 8 a.m., Tyler's car pulled up. His luxury sedan, leased, of course, probably behind on payments. Rebecca said he looked terrible. Sunglasses hiding bloodshot eyes, his suit wrinkled like he'd slept in it. But he was trying to project confidence as he walked to the door, briefcase in hand, like he was about to negotiate a business deal. He'd done this dance 100 times before. Show up, apply pressure. Mom cries, Mom caves, Mom writes the check. Except this time, his key didn't work. Rebecca said she could see the confusion on his face. He tried again, jiggling the key, thinking maybe the lock was stuck. Nothing. She said she watched him read the first line, saw his body go rigid, watched him read it again and again. Tyler, the locks have been changed. I'm gone. Rebecca had printed my letter on nice paper, professional, official. The kind of document that couldn't be ignored or dismissed as emotional rambling. It was facts, just facts. Tyler read every word, and Rebecca told me his face went through a journey, confusion, disbelief, anger, panic, and finally, something that might have been fear. The letter laid it all out, every forged signature, every fraudulent loan, every credit card opened in my name, the $485,000 in debt, the fake business, the fake passport, the 5 years of cons, and then the part that made Tyler start pounding on the door. I sold the house, the money is mine, you will never see it. I've given your voicemail from last night to the FBI, the one where you confessed to everything and threatened me. They'll be contacting you soon. Rebecca said. Tyler screamed. Actually screamed. Started pounding on the door with both fists, kicking it, yelling, "Mom! Open this door! You can't do this to me!" Neighbors came out onto their porches. Mrs. Patterson from next door called 911. Mr. Rodriguez started recording on his phone. Tyler pulled out his phone and called my number. Rebecca could hear it from her car, that automated message. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Tyler tried everything. Called again. Same message. Tried my email, bounces back with address not found. Tried social media, I deleted everything, blocked him on every platform. Then he got in his car and drove to the hospital where I'd worked for 30 years. Rebecca followed him. She watched him stride into the building with that false confidence, demanding to know what shift I was working. The receptionist looked confused, checked the computer, then said, "Victoria Brennan?" She retired, effective immediately, submitted her resignation 3 days ago. Tyler's face went white. "That's impossible." She didn't say anything. "Sir, I can't give you any more information. If you'd like to leave a message." "Where did she go? Where is she?" "Sir, I don't have that information, and even if I did, I couldn't share it. Patient privacy regulations also apply to our staff." Tyler stood there in the hospital lobby, and Rebecca said she could see it hitting him, the realization that I was really gone, that I'd planned this, that I'd chosen to disappear rather than save him. His phone rang. He answered it without looking at the caller ID. "Tyler, it's Martin, your lawyer. We need to talk. The FBI just called. They want you to come in immediately. They have new evidence, a recorded confession." "Tyler, what did you do?" Rebecca followed Tyler back to my house. His house, really, since he'd grown up there. The house that had held his entire childhood, every memory of family, every moment when he'd been loved unconditionally. The house that was no longer his to enter. Tyler got out of his car and just stood on the lawn, staring at that letter on the door. The neighbors were still watching. Some were whispering. Tyler Brennan, the successful businessman, having a breakdown on his mother's lawn. Then his legs gave out. He just collapsed. Sat down hard on the grass, his expensive briefcase falling beside him, his sunglasses finally coming off to reveal eyes red from crying or drinking or both. Rebecca said she almost felt sorry for him in that moment. Almost. She grabbed the envelope I'd prepared, one final message, and walked across the lawn. Tyler looked up at her, hope flashing across his face. "Do you know where my mother is? Please, I need to." "She asked me to give you this," Rebecca said, handing him the envelope. "Don't try to contact her. She's gone, and she's not coming back." Tyler opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was my final message to him, the one I'd written at Rebecca's office, the one that said everything I'd been too afraid to say for 30 years. Rebecca told me he read it slowly. She said she watched tears roll down his face as he took in every word. "For 32 years, I loved you more than my own life. I gave you everything because I thought love meant sacrifice. But you taught me a painful truth. Sometimes love means letting someone face their consequences." The letter went on. Talked about accountability, about the FBI, about how I was starting over with what little money remained from selling the house, how he should have started over years ago instead of living off me. And then the ending. "You didn't just steal my money, Tyler. You stole my trust, my retirement, my peace. If you ever become the man I raised you to be, you'll understand why I had to disappear. Goodbye." Tyler folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. Then he opened his briefcase, the one he'd brought to look professional, to intimidate me with business talk and financial pressure. It was empty except for a stack of unpaid bills, overdue notices, final warnings, the paper evidence of a life built on lies finally catching up to him. Rebecca turned to walk back to her car, her job done. But Tyler called after her. "How long did she plan this?" Rebecca paused, looked back at him. 3 hours. From the moment you demanded $300,000 to the moment she drove away. 3 hours to dismantle 30 years of enabling. "I didn't think she'd actually..." He couldn't finish the sentence. "You didn't think she had it in her," Rebecca finished for him. "You thought she was weak. You thought her love for you meant she'd let you destroy her. You thought wrong." "What's going to happen to me?" Rebecca's expression was cold. "You're going to face the consequences of your choices. For the first time in your life, there's no one to bail you out, no one to make excuses for you, no one to sacrifice themselves so you can avoid accountability. My mother abandoned me. No, Rebecca said firmly. Your mother saved herself. There's a difference. She walked to her car, started the engine. Through the windshield, she could see Tyler still sitting on the lawn, the envelope in his hands, surrounded by curious neighbors and the life he'd built on lies. That's when the police cars arrived. 3 of them, lights flashing but sirens off. They didn't want to cause a scene. Agent Morrison stepped out of the first car, 2 other agents flanking him. Tyler saw them, and his face went through another transformation. Panic, then resignation, then something that might have been relief. He didn't run, didn't argue, didn't try to manipulate or charm his way out. He just stood up, leaving the briefcase and the envelope on the grass, and walked toward the agents. Tyler Brennan? Agent Morrison said. Yes. You're under arrest for securities fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As they read him his rights, as they put the handcuffs on, Tyler looked back at the house one more time. At the letter taped to the door. At the locks he couldn't open. At the life he could no longer access. Rebecca told me that in that moment she saw something in Tyler's expression that she hadn't seen before. Understanding. He finally understood what he'd done. Not just the crimes, the betrayal. The way he'd used the person who loved him most in the world, squeezed her dry, and expected her to thank him for the privilege. He understood, finally, that actions have consequences. That love without respect is just exploitation. That his mother's strength wasn't in how much she could give, it was in knowing when to stop. The police cars drove away with Tyler in the back seat. The neighbors slowly returned to their houses, already spreading the story. Mrs. Patterson shook her head. Mr. Rodriguez posted his video to the neighborhood Facebook group with the caption, "Anyone know what happened to Victoria Brennan? Her son just got arrested at her house." Rebecca picked up the briefcase and the envelope from the lawn. The briefcase she threw away, it was evidence of nothing but failed manipulation. But the envelope, my final letter, she kept. She said she wanted me to have it back someday, as a reminder of my own strength. She walked to her car and sent me a message. It's done. He's arrested. He read your letter. You're free. I was sitting in that motel room when I got the message. I'd been pacing, wondering, imagining 1,000 different scenarios, and now it was over. Tyler was in custody. The house was sold. My money was safe in an account he couldn't access. My phone number had changed. My email was gone. I'd disappeared, and he couldn't find me. For the first time in 30 years, I was free. People ask me, or they would if they knew my story, whether I regret it. Whether cutting off my only child, watching him get arrested, leaving him to face prison alone, whether that makes me a bad mother. Here's what I've learned. Being a good mother doesn't mean being a martyr. It doesn't mean sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left. It doesn't mean enabling destructive behavior because you're afraid of being seen as unloving. Sometimes being a good mother means saying no. Means letting your child fail, means stepping back and allowing natural consequences to do the teaching you couldn't do. Tyler is 32 years old. For 32 years, I caught him every time he fell. I paid his debts, made his excuses, cleaned up his messes, and all I taught him was that someone would always be there to save him from himself. Now, for the first time, he has to face what he's done, has to sit with the consequences. Has to figure out who he is without his mother's money propping up his fantasy life. Maybe prison will change him. Maybe it won't. That's not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility now is to myself, to rebuild, to start over, to create a life that isn't defined by how much I can sacrifice for someone else. A week after Tyler's arrest, I got a call from Rebecca. The house sale had closed. The money was in my account. After paying off the debts Tyler created in my name, I had $127,000 left. Not a fortune, not retirement and comfort, but a start. I bought a used car, reliable, practical, mine. I rented a small apartment in a town 3 states away where nobody knows Tyler or Victoria Brennan. I got a part-time job at a local clinic. I'm not ready to fully retire, and honestly, I missed nursing. Missed helping people who actually wanted help. I made a friend, Susan, another nurse who's also starting over after her own life crisis. We get coffee on Thursdays and don't talk about our pasts unless we want to. I'm learning to live small, simple, without the weight of someone else's expectations crushing me. And you know what? I'm happy, actually happy. Not the fake happiness I used to project while drowning in stress and debt. Real happiness. The quiet kind that comes from knowing you're safe. Tyler pleaded guilty to all charges. His lawyer advised him that going to trial would result in a much harsher sentence. The evidence was overwhelming. The forged signatures, the fake business documents, the recorded confession, Amanda's testimony, Marcus's testimony, mine. He took the plea deal. 8 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of probation. He'll have to pay restitution to all his victims, though with no assets and no real employment history, that money will probably never materialize. Rebecca told me that during his sentencing hearing, Tyler asked if I'd submitted a victim impact statement. I had. I kept it brief. My son stole $485,000 from me by forging my signature and destroying my credit. But the financial theft was not the worst of it. He stole my trust, he stole my peace. He stole years of my life that I spent working to pay for his lies. I hope his time in prison teaches him something I could not, that actions have consequences, and that people are not ATMs to be exploited. I wish him growth and change, but from a distance. I will not be visiting. I will not be writing. This is goodbye. Tyler apparently cried when they read it aloud in court. Asked his lawyer if there was any way to contact me, to apologize, to make things right. Rebecca made sure the answer was no. There's a letter I wrote but never sent. It's in a drawer in my apartment, and sometimes I take it out and read it. It's addressed to Tyler, but it's really for me. A way to process everything, to say the things I couldn't say in a courtroom statement, or in the message I left on the door. It talks about the day he was born. How I held him and promised I'd always protect him. Always keep him safe. How I meant that promise with every fiber of my being. It talks about the first time he stole from me when he was 16, took money from my wallet for concert tickets he'd been told he couldn't have. How I should have recognized the pattern starting even then. It talks about all the times I ignored red flags because I wanted to believe the best about him. Because mothers are supposed to believe in their children, aren't they? And it ends with this. Tyler, I kept my promise. I did protect you. For 32 years I protected you from consequences, from failure, from growing up, and in doing so I failed you in the most fundamental way. I didn't prepare you for real life. I didn't teach you that the world won't always catch you when you fall. That's on me. But Tyler, you're 32 now. Old enough to take responsibility for your own choices. Old enough to face what you've done. I can't protect you anymore. And honestly, I don't want to. I hope prison gives you what I couldn't, the chance to grow up, to become someone who thinks of others instead of just yourself, to understand that love is not the same as exploitation. I loved you enough to let you go. I hope someday you'll understand that was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. Goodbye, Tyler. Build a better life when you get out. Just build it without me. I'll never send it, but writing it helped. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, if you have someone in your life who takes and takes and takes, who manipulates and lies and uses your love as a weapon, I want you to know something. Leaving doesn't make you cruel. Setting boundaries doesn't make you unloving. Protecting yourself doesn't make you selfish. You are allowed to save yourself. Even from family. Especially from family sometimes. I spent 30 years believing that being a good mother meant endless sacrifice. That if I just loved hard enough, gave enough, sacrificed enough, Tyler would become the person I'd raised him to be. But here's the truth. I wish someone had told me earlier. You can't love someone into being a good person. They have to choose that themselves. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let them face the natural consequences of their choices. Tyler made his choices. He chose to lie, to steal, to manipulate. He chose to see his mother as an ATM instead of a person. He chose to threaten me when I didn't comply. He chose to try to flee the country rather than face accountability. Those were his choices, not mine. My choice was to save myself, to draw a line, to say no more. And that choice? That was the first truly healthy decision I'd made in 3 decades. It's been 6 months since I left that house. 6 months since Tyler's arrest. 6 months of building a new life from scratch. Some days are hard. I miss my old life sometimes, not the stress, but the familiarity. I miss my house. I miss feeling needed, even though I know that need was toxic. But most days I wake up feeling lighter than I have in years. I'm learning who Victoria is when she's not defined by being Tyler's mother. I'm learning what I like, what I want, what brings me joy. I joined a book club, started taking walks in the evening, adopted a cat named Luna who keeps me company without demanding anything but food and occasional pets. I'm dating someone, Gary, a retired teacher who makes me laugh and doesn't ask about my past until I'm ready to share. When I told him a simplified version of my story, he said, "That took incredible courage. Starting over is never easy." He's right, it's not easy, but it's worth it. To everyone who's listened to this entire story, thank you. Thank you for taking this journey with me, for understanding that sometimes the hardest choice is the right choice, and for not judging me for choosing myself. If my story helps even one person find the courage to leave a toxic relationship, to set boundaries, to save themselves, then sharing this pain was worth it. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Not your child, not your partner, not your family. Your life matters, your peace matters, your future matters. Don't wait 30 years like I did. Don't sacrifice yourself until there's nothing left. Draw the line now. Save yourself now. Start over now. It's never too late. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be sharing more real-life stories about finding strength in impossible situations. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had to cut ties with someone you loved for your own survival? How did you find the courage? Let's support each other in the comments. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that it's okay to save themselves. That setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. And remember, you are worth saving. Your peace is worth protecting. Your future is worth fighting for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And if you're going through something similar right now, please know that you're not alone and you're stronger than you think. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next story.